One of the most important skills that you can have, one of the most important attributes of mental warfare is the ability to intuit. The ability to intuit and the ability to remain objective. Intuit and remaining objective. You see, if I give you phrases, and I will, on this CD I'll give you phrases, command, hypnotic commands, embedded commands that you can use. However, in order for those things to work, you've got to know when, you've got to know how, why, what, and where. Just coming up and saying them isn't going to be enough. It's like this. I can show you how to punch. I can show you how to kick. I can teach you technique after technique. But if you go out there like a robot and simply deliver them in a fight, chances are you'll get your ass kicked. So, you need to intuit, to intuitively know. I remember years ago we were putting on a show at a big casino. And at this casino, the guy who was going to give us our money, his office was located in the kitchen. And this big fat Korean guy, he was just hollering at everybody, just a bulldog, barking out orders. And here I am, little old me. And I'm watching this guy, and I mean, he yells so hard that, you know, your hair goes back like the Memorex commercial. You know, your cheeks, I mean, it's like, I mean, the windows rattled when this guy hollered. And me, somehow, I became detached. And I was observing this, and instead of feeling emotion about it, I was thinking, wow, this guy really runs a tight ship. I mean, he barks like a bulldog, but the machine was moving. He was making things happen. It was being run successfully. You could just see it. He was like an orchestra conductor. And the symphony, it was all in tune, playing in harmony, man. He was running it. But this guy just, I mean, loud, yelling. So finally he goes, all right, come in here. Go into his office, sit down, he slams the door. And then he starts yelling at me. You want this much money, and you want this, and you want that. And the interesting thing is, I just sat there, and with just a plain, bland face, as if I was staring at the wall. And he went on for probably 5 minutes. I think my eardrums hurt, but I didn't realize it till later. And at the end of that, he finally stopped, and there was a pregnant pause. There was just a moment, and he cracked a little smile. What happened was, I had gained his respect. He was used to that working. He was expecting that. He was expecting, what's the usual response? People tremble in his presence. And when that didn't happen, somehow, I had gained his respect. And he gave me what I wanted. The money we wanted, the rider, the amenities that we wanted. He gave it to us. And I didn't have to fight for it. All I did was just sit there. I didn't go with him. I didn't enter in and start yelling back. And I just sat there quietly and smiled. And he handed it over. And that was intuition on my part. I didn't respond from emotion. I didn't respond from experience. I didn't respond from eagerness or desperation or desire. Communicating from a place of desire is communicating from a place of weakness. In order to get what you want, you must not want it. Now, how is that? Oh, that's very Zen. Oh, that's very hooji-booji. Listen, I'm bringing it right down here to earth. This isn't, let go, grasshopper. This isn't any fancy stuff. This is down to earth. If you get what I'm saying, if you understand this, it is not esoteric. It is real. It is meaningful. It is powerful. And it will get you what you want. In order to get what you want, you have to not want it too much. And it's funny because at that point in my life, that was very important to me that I got that money. I mean, I needed that money badly. So if I had communicated with him from that place of needing, his energy would have sensed my weak energy, and his energy would have been stronger, and he could have negotiated us down on the money. And I would have been in a place, I mean, I had no negotiation. What could I do? I mean, there was very little I could do. However, by doing nothing, I got everything. Now, will that work every time? The thing that will work every time is your intuition. That's the void. That's the void. It's remaining detached. It's remaining objective. That's how you get what you want. And by negotiating that way, it's amazing. It's magical. You go through life and it just never fails. You don't have to win all the time. You just never lose. You never let go of your center, of your still point. I was just centered, and I don't know why. I didn't know all that I know now. I was rather young and somewhat naive, but I was an objective thinker. Object versus subject. So, intuition and objectivity. You've got to detach emotionally, and we talked about that on the last CD. Because until you learn to do that, all of these verbal techniques and mental warfare tactics aren't going to help that much. They'll help, but to really get the most out of them, you've got to become objective. You've got to become intuitive. You get a feel for a type of person, and you can tell right where they are. Everything goes into your computer, your brain. Every person you meet, every experience you have, and you can relate to it emotionally, or you can just use it as a file, as a reference file, but at the same time staying fluid. Not presuming, not concluding, staying fluid to get what you want. And they teach this to salesmen, to realtors. We teach it to realtor groups. They have to remain cool and loose and calm and diligent and just right to see the deal through. Just right to see it through. Remaining just right there, present in the center. And then you never let it go, and you move through life effortlessly from that point. Effortlessly. That was fantastic. That was fantastic. I got a lot out of that lesson. It happened again in Japan, when we went to Japan. And this big guy, he owned ball teams and railroad station. I mean, huge bigwig, and his secretary, and she comes and back and forth. And I just calmly remained, no, saying no, calmly, without emotion. Beat them at their own game. Their way of negotiating is to build up a lot of obligation. They would try to build, we've done this for you, we've done that, we do this, we do that, and try to work it down from there. Start with a place of you owe no one anything, and you have no obligation. You just have sincerity and honesty and determination and a calm, insistent patience. Objectivity and intuition. You just kind of intuit. You've experienced this, you've smelled this before, you've felt this before. When you get in touch with your inner man, you'll have a sense. It will guide you like a gyroscope. Guide you to just pare away. You keep peeling at the onion. And then you get it. And when you're objective, it begins to just come. When you're in touch with that inner man, when you're centered, you begin to just intuit what to say, what they need at just the right time. You're like water or smoke, and that it just gets in the opening and makes the opening bigger. Does that make sense to you? Okay, let's get on with some verbal commands.